So this is going to be a real quick video explaining mathematically the advantage of a 1x12 drivetrain over a 1x11 system. I see a lot of comments and videos online of guys saying, there's no reason to have this 50-tooth low gear. For 99% of cases, it's just not necessary. So 1x11 is cheaper and that kind of thing. So it's better, but I'll show you mathematically, just using real simple math, why the 1x12 is actually the better system. So here I have just a real simple diagram showing your chainring up front and your cassette on your rear wheel. So your chainrings commonly come in anything from a 28 tooth all the way to a 36 tooth. And in that case, generally the 30 or 32 tooth is your most common. It depends on the terrain you're riding on, but for this example, we're going to use a 30 tooth because that seems to be a pretty standard as far as what comes on like a stock bike. And so then our case one for the cassette is your standard 1x11 system. And then case two is a 1x12. This applies to pretty much any system that follows those gear numbers, but I'm using the SRAM GX 1x11 and then the GX Eagle 1x12. So the 1x11, its high gear is a 10 tooth, low gear 42 tooth. The 1x12 has a high gear of 10 tooth, a low gear of 50 tooth. So we'll start by comparing the low gears. And again, like I said, we're assuming a 30 tooth chainring. So for your 1x11 system, your low gear gives you a 1.4 ratio. And so while the 1x12 gives you a 1.67. So in this case, the higher the number, the easier it is to climb hills, the more torque you have, because that's what we're generally concerned about when you're in your low gear. But I think what most people will agree and what most people find is if you've ridden in a 1x11 system with a 42 tooth or something similar, that's basically as low as you need to go. I run a 1x11 with a 42 tooth in the rear, and I don't think with a 30 tooth chainring I have hardly ever used even that lowest gear. At that point, you're so slow that it's almost unusable. I mean, it's nice to know you have it if you're doing some really, really extreme climbing. So basically what we're going to assume is that the 1.4 ratio that the 1x11 provides is plenty good enough for 99% of riding and 99% of riders. So you'll notice if you go to the 1x12 with the 50 tooth low gear, you're at 1.67, which is obviously overkill, and that's assuming the 30 tooth chainring. So if we assume that the 1.4 ratio is good enough, and we still have that 50 tooth low gear, your chainring can actually go all the way up to a 36 tooth and still maintain that same torque in your low gear that you had with a 1x11 and a 30 tooth chainring. And this is really where the advantage comes in that people are missing out on when they say they don't understand why you need a 1x12 system. And so then, of course, by having the higher chainring, that plays into effect on your high gear and your overall top speed. So for that, we're going to assume the 1x11 has a 30 tooth chainring and the 1x12 has a 36 tooth. Again, that's because that provides the same 1.4 ratio in your low gear. So in your high gear, both of them, both the 1x11 and 1x12 below it, have a 10 tooth high gear. So for that, in the 1x11 with a 30 tooth front chainring, you get a ratio of 0.33 or 1/3. And then on the 1x12, if you have a 36 tooth chainring, you get a ratio of 0.27. So basically this means this is the number of turns that your chainring does for one turn of the back wheel. So as you can see, the 1x11 will take more turns of the 30-tooth chainring versus the 1x12 with the 36-tooth chainring. And so what that means is there's a 23% increase in your potential top speed because of the difference between the 30-tooth and the 36-tooth. And so to put that in perspective, I measured the tire on my bike. It's a 27.5. The actual circumference is somewhere around 88 inches or 7 feet and 4 inches. And so one rotation of the chainring on the 1x11 with a 30-tooth chainring means that your bike's going to travel 22 feet approximately. While with a 1x12 in that same 10-tooth high gear, if you have a 36-tooth chainring, you're going to be able to travel 27 feet. So the advantage of the 1x12 is not necessarily the low gear. I think because most riders will agree that a 1x11 with a 42-tooth low gear is plenty of torque. The advantage is you can put a larger chainring on there and get a higher top speed. In this case, 23% higher top speed. So you're able to climb just as good as a 1x11, but then on the downhill, you're able to go significantly faster, and that's really where the 1x12 shines. So hopefully that clears up some confusion on why people are going to a 1x12